Hey, David Wygant here, 10-minute daily reality check. Today's going to be an interesting one. We're going to find out how to go long for love. I got two people here with me that I highly respect. Eddie Palmer, a fitness trainer in Los Angeles, and Greg Kay, an entrepreneur living in Denver, Colorado. There you go, right?
Yep.
Entrepreneur living in Denver, Colorado. And we were talking off mic about 5 minutes ago, and sometimes we should be recording those conversations because those conversations are like the fucking best ones. Like all of a sudden they blurt out of thin air, right? And then also we're in this like deep fucking cool conversation about things that people would be interested in. So we came about how to go long for love because we feel in today's ADD, Bumble, Tinder society, people don't know how to go long for love at all. As a matter of fact, they seem to go short. They're like first and 10, then they go to second and 5, then they go to third and 2, and then they go to third and 5, right? They just go back, they go forward a little bit, then backwards a little bit. They never truly figure out how to make it work. Eddie, you were saying something that Greg could teach these guys how to go long, and you were using a great analogy.
I mean, you got to think about it. Greg's in a 2-year-long relationship now, so he's in the recent dating world. A lot of times we look at things and go, well, oh yeah, my friend so-and-so, he's been dating Sherry Ann for, 5-6 years. He doesn't know what it's like nowadays. But you got to look around and say, okay, look at his current relationship. He took someone he found out in the dating world, found common interests. They found a way to communicate, and they've been successful with that for 2 years now. They might have come from different worlds, different types, but they found that common construct. Now you're taking something from 2 years, how to take that 2-year relationship to 10 years. He's already established the base. So these are the people you want to talk to about your pros and cons, your do's and don'ts when you're having troubles. If you're not going to David Wygant, of course.
Well, no, Greg's a great coach of mine. So, I mean, this is interesting because I have not had a relationship in 4 years. Right? What about you? How long ago was it for you?
I'd say about 2.
Yeah, that's right. It was about 2 when you broke up. So in those 4 years, you and I, we all talked about this at dinner too, right? How we changed sexually as men also.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's, we can go out on a Friday night, but we no longer need to go and like have that conquest, that experience. We've already had those experiences. Yes, done that. Yes, banged her there. Yeah, had random sex. Yeah, had sex with somebody's wife. I mean, it's like, hey, fuck, we've had those things. So now it becomes an evolution because you and I are on the path to where he is.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're not going out there and having random sex. That's why we're home, we're reading, we're enlightening ourselves, we're growing as men, right? And then Greg, sitting here, he's on that. You're just a few years ahead of us. So how was it to finally, because, and a lot of guys out there dating right now, and a lot of women out there dating right now, how do you decide that this is going to be the one that I'm actually going to go and get to know? Because it is a process. And for me, as you all know, it's a high for me. It's like a drug, going out there and just going out there and playing with women all day long. It's a hobby of mine. It's been my favorite hobby forever and ever. I mean, I can't stop. And it's a hard thing to fucking just say, stop. How did you stop? How did you just decide, like, wow, this woman I'm going to stop for?
Well, first I stopped, and I was dating, after my divorce, dating somebody much younger. Then I was dating somebody else that had kids. Then I dated someone else that had issues.
I love the word issues.
So she had
slow pause issues.
She showed you crazy a little too fast.
No, she just way too wanted to be together too quickly all the time type fast.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I bounced around in the beginning. But like I randomly went to some coffee shop one day and bumped into Julie and her yappy little dog.
Lucky.
Little Lucky, that's right. And she left with some guy. I thought it was her boyfriend. No big deal. Who cares? She came back an hour later with her laptop in her hand, all excited to sit down and talk to her. Little things like that was the first interaction I had with Julie. And obviously, she's beautiful. So, I mean, it just kind of made me really quickly realize, like, okay, she made an effort to come all the way back. How many people do that?
See, that to me is really sexy when a woman, the look back, which I like tonight at Air One, right? That look back was great. I should have gone in, but I didn't. Hey, because we had to go and do this. So it shows how committed I am to other things too. You got that comeback, and it just, as a man, it triggers us off and says, yeah, fuck, man, I'm with a woman who's like my equal right now. I'm with a woman who, she knows I'm a good catch, so she's going to come back and actually tell me, hey, I'm available. That's like one of the biggest turn-ons in the world.
Taking herself out of her own comfort zone.
Yes.
So you're looking at two people right now out of their own comfort zone. They were able to expose who they really were, so it ends up working in a better path. Hence, 2 years later. That's what it sounds like.
But it is because we're both at certain ages now that, we don't give a shit about a lot of things. And at the same time, we are respectful and honest with each other all the time. And there's some quirks on either side, but it doesn't matter because at this point, as long as somebody's telling me exactly who they are and what they want to be, then it's okay. You can work through it. Because it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I've always had that attitude of, hey, listen, this is awesome, this is great. One of the best things that's ever happened to me, but if it changes and we're just not getting along or there's problems or I disagree, you got to move forward. And most men get so hung up on the fact that they don't want that to happen. They're so worried that if it did, they'd be devastated. But I think the fact that we both have a mutual respect for each other is a really big deal.
That's key. Respect. I don't think enough relationships, and something working with a lot of women, especially all over the world, online training sometimes, I don't think we respect. Ask yourself, do you respect your partner? You might love them, you might care about them, but do you respect them? Because I think if we put the respect word back in a lot of these relationships, you see a lot of things would dissipate and disappear, a lot of the crap that goes on. Because I don't think a lot of couples actually do respect one another. That's just something you see. Because the ones that do, are just it's a strength in their relationship. You see when you're around it, it's like an aura they give off. This is interesting.
You can see it on Abbot-Kinney on a Saturday, right? Or Manhattan Beach. You can go down there and you can see couples that don't respect one another. You can see a man pushing a stroller. He looks miserable, right? Mm-hmm. You see the woman, obviously she went into a store. She went to get some coffee, tea, or whatever it might be. She comes out. She looks equally as miserable. And here they have this beautiful little baby that's in this stroller who looks happy as can be and doesn't realize that this baby is heading into fucking turmoil, into a shitstorm, because this couple, as Eddie really clearly just pointed out, this couple no longer respects each other, no longer loves each other, and you can really sense it on couples that have kids. More so than on couples that don't have kids. Because couples that don't have kids, they can hide behind their cell phones and literally stare at those, when they're out. But couples that have kids and when they're with the kids and they look miserable, I've got a daughter. My daughter doesn't make me look miserable. And that's what I finally learned because my whole life was perception because my parents looked miserable all the time. So I thought it was fucking my fault. I was a kid, right? And I thought to myself, holy shit, my parents look miserable. It must be because of me. So my whole perception my entire life was kids make people miserable. That's what I always thought, so I never wanted kids. Now that I have a kid, I'm never miserable around her. As a matter of fact, I'm smiling the whole time because I'm not with somebody that makes me miserable. That's the battle, and that's something that I think people need to really look at because that's what you see. So you're at this really fucking beautiful place, okay? Mm-hmm. Most people are just toiling around with their head up their ass, not knowing what to do, right?
Going back and forth with the past romances.
Oh, well, yeah, you touched on that earlier. That's some scary shit, and women get off on that. Why do they get off on it? We talked about that a little bit. Why do women get so off on getting a guy back? Is it that control? What did you say at dinner?
I think it's the familiarity of their personality or, what their flaws are. They're more familiar with me now. So going back to someone who already has an understanding of me is a comfort zone versus opening up to someone new and them running off again. So then I have someone else who didn't work out with. But if I can always go back to this person and maybe it's not me, it's them, and maybe I'm where I need to be and they're trying to catch up to me. It's that you can kind of put it in as I said, a filtered lens and see it how you want it that way. But if you go forward and people keep leaving in the same manner, you start to realize I don't have anyone to blame but myself.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're past 10 minutes. We're going to come back tomorrow with something that you need to hear. Idolizing false Instagram gods is going to be tomorrow's show. And that one's going to be a lot of fun. Do me a favor, share this podcast because other people need a reality check as well. Other people don't know what's going on. So if everybody gets together and passes this around, we'll have a collective consciousness that will actually give you like-minded people you can hang with instead of always trying to bring people up. Eddie Palmer, how can they reach you?
EddiePalmer12@gmail.com.
And Greg, you can reach with me. You can just email me and say, hey, I want to be coached by Greg because he knows his shit and he's in a relationship and I want to learn how to do that. You can reach us, davidwygant.com. We'll see you tomorrow when we idolize false Instagram gods and goddesses. because the goddesses are the ones that are fucking nuts.